get on one knee and propose to the black woman.
I'm getting sick of men saying that. I want a woman to be my piece. No, the f you don't.
It's hard out here for a woman. Give her $500. Give her $1,000.
For your...
I want a woman to want me for my money. I'm a provider. Want me to provide.
I found out accidentally on purpose that you can measure the goodness and the greatness of a man by the size of the smile of the woman in his life's face. If the woman that he's with is not happy, that's a sign that that's not a good man.
Marriage is the biggest scam generations of men are no longer buying. The value of being in a union is completely lost. Men continuously being told to build themselves for a woman who no longer even fits the mold of what a man looks for in a wife. Meanwhile, a man has to mold himself to a husband, which leaves him questioning what's in it for him.
Why is marriage advantage? What advantage? What does it do for a man when things go south?
In this video, we're going to peel every layer back. What are the incentives, the modern mindset we consistently see in society that's painted as feminine, the rabbit hole of feminism, where they really get their ideology from, and how men are directly, indirectly being targeted every day, resulting in what we see. But how far will this spread? Nature is under attack. What was a natural instinct for men throughout history, we see it in Mali Kingdom, Egypt, and Moors, a natural phenomenon which nature has understood, as everything else in nature, sea, land, and biology. We can't escape the makeup of which made a man's DNA. Women, on the other hand, have pulled further back from theirs. We see in the results of the marriage rate decreasing drastically from the highest to the lowest in the US and the UK. A standard no longer can even be held in real time. As women have pushed further away from being modest and feminine, their standard is now flipped on its head. Men aren't falling for it in Western society. The idea of entertaining marriage sounds like a nightmare. The concept of marriage does not sound fulfilling. Men's standards for a wife hasn't changed for centuries, but he is now being called toxic, red-pilled, shamed for wanting something nature intended from the beginning. Somehow, we can't say the same for women. We are being infiltrated by modern mindset, changing the true definition of femininity.
Marriage for me is not the goal. What I do with my marriage is the goal.
Rich women are actually more feminine than broke women.
Yeah. I only date marriage material. Not because I'm picky, but because I'm purposeful.
Every lady is a wife material.
The biological clock for women is a real thing. So I'm not letting somebody waste my time.
Majority of these women today reflect absolutely nothing of what used to be true womanhood, but we got to take it a step further back. What gave them this foundation to begin with?
Have black women, in your judgment, endorsed feminism and...
Feminism is definitely the root that sprouted from the seed, but we're digging deeper. Who planted the seed? Who gave women these destructive ideas on how to destroy what was naturally given to mankind? It all started in the Age of Enlightenment, where European men questioned authority. This was the beginning of conquest of America, Asia, and Africa. In 1821, Friedrich Hegel is the greatest systematic thinkers in Western society. In his seminal work, he stated freedom requires institution, that true freedom should only be attained through the government, by taking the natural authority. He stated the march of God in the world is what the state is. He saw the state as highest God in social institution. So it's not a coincidence. Anyone who co-signs with the state will give the ultimate freedom in this society. Karl Marx critiqued his work, stated it's through the economy the ruling class controls people, owning the means of production, controlling trade, consumption, and resources, all the things that directly dictate an individual's life. Bear with me, this is where it gets interesting. Antonio Gramsci was an influential Italian Marxist thinker. He said that man is not ruled by force alone, but also by ideas. Said it's no longer economy used by the ruling class controlling people, or force. Through culture, by engaging in it, through constant messaging, framing it as natural, inevitable, and beneficial. A theory he wrote called cultural hegemony. Culture relates to what people identify with the most: ethnic, aesthetics, art, newspaper. This is Herbert Marcuse. He is one of the 5 important key members in Frankfurt School who coined the term critical theory, which shaped America and Britain. as we know it. It gave activists a base to find ways to tear down traditional values. Rudy, a student from the same school, created a strategy called the Long March through the institution, which slowly infiltrates culture and politics.
March, there were a group of Marxists who wisely decided that you could bring this collectivist society to a nation through culture as well, by introducing certain values and concepts that would break down the family. For example, if you could somehow break down the family unit so that it was no longer self-sustaining and no longer valued in a society, then that would leave individual members who formerly could turn to the family for support in times of need. They would now be cut loose. They would be without a place to go in times of need. So now they have to turn to the government.
There's always a price for freedom. And as we can see, black women have chosen to sell black men out for theirs. Now we're flipping the coin. You have the head, let's take a look at the tail. Feminism, the beginning of black feminism. When you trace back, you begin to find trails a lot of women ideologies actually stemmed from. They're not even unique in their talking points, and definitely not in their ideas. Mariah Stewart, the first black feminist, wrote for Williams newspaper, the first feminist to speak publicly in a mixed crowd about equality, also known to criticize black men for not being educated or ambitious. Now, we've all heard that before, rebelling disguised as questioning against a man's authority and manhood. Anna Julia Cooper, author and educator, in her book A Voice from South, scrutinized masculinity, called it outgrown old contemporary chivalry, how colored men not yet think it's worth high education, also belittling submissive women, referring it as possessed, worshipping masculinity. In the same book, she also writes, only a black woman can say when and where I enter. A black woman's favorite thing to say when someone holds her accountable for anything. Today, which shows how far ideas can really go.
As long as I have identified as a feminist, it has been clear to me that any feminism that privileges those who already have privilege is bound to be irrelevant to poor women, working class women, women of color, trans women of color.
Angela Davis, one of the most influential black feminists in the 70s in America, is where she made her name. Mentored by Frankfurt School key member Herbert Marcuse, if you remember, used their critical theory to rip off more structures in the black community. Since then, every black feminist after that chose freedom over traditional values.
That all you have to do to silence someone is to say they're politically incorrect, and frequently it's a tool that conservatives use to silence or belittle the voices of liberal and radical people.
So intersectionality is basically meant to help people think about the fact that discrimination can happen on the basis of several different factors at the same time. And we need to have a language and ability to see it in order to address it.
Now, feminism is designed to give space to women to do that. It's designed to criticize those restrictive roles of femininity.
Looking into the modern woman's mindset, all the choices she makes, what is her goal in all of this? Wherever we turn, somehow masculinity is being targeted every chance women get, and making wild statements like it's all men until no men. Driving force behind seems to be make masculinity as threatening, the problem in society. It's becoming much more normalized to emasculate men, telling men to be more feminine through different industry, trends, and even different establishment. Now being introduced academically through different essays, theses, and theories. For example, in the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, USA and America Psychology, there's a handbook research on toxic masculinity, on leadership behavior in black men, purposely made to learn how the black man leads. A big part of this multi-research is based off hegemonic theory, which was created by a trans woman called Waywin Cornell. What makes theories dangerous is if you understand how something works, you can use their attributes against them, even young boys and children.
It's really important to be here at the school, seeing young people go through relationship discussions.
In the UK, as young as 3 years old, they're being taught about toxic masculinity. They state they want to mold the future in their own hand, saying 5 years old is too late. In the US, black boys are more likely punished than protected. They disproportionately remove black boys from classrooms and increase their likelihood of justice system involvement. Could this just be another method to target black masculine boys? In women organizations funded by the government heavily focuses on transforming patriarchy masculinity, and what better way to package it all nicely than through the media. While men have to learn how to strip their masculinity, women are being prompted to be independent, to be promiscuous, and devour every man that comes your way.
Did you know that female spiders eat the male when she's done with them? Oh yeah, they date, they laugh, and then she turns his ass into a crab cake. Now, while the prospect of biting your head off makes me happy, I am sure that ultimately you are not a happy meal. So, I'm moving on to better cuisine.
You could only vote if you owned land and didn't have a vagina.
Honestly, I'm just tired of trying to defend my choices about my body to other people.
There's a hierarchy. Chicks before dicks, depending on the dick.
Me. We're gonna be the next power couple, like Sierra and Russell, Cardi B and On and Offset.
Oh, girl, are you okay?
Yeah, why?
Last time my nails looked like this, I had a whole court case. Niggas think they could just have a baby on you and not get ran up on.
It's funneling typical modern mindset. The corporate world, entertainment industry, and state purposely markets women. Just like we know, nothing is an accident. Media is a machine that's been precisely curated. Walter Lippmann published Public Opinion in 1922, discussed how media and elites shape public perception. It's called manufacturing consent. How? This is where Edward Barney comes in. He's the known father of public relations, who made it practical and sold it to big corporations, using his uncle's ideas about the unconscious mind, and wrote a book about it called Propaganda. Even has a chapter about putting ideas in women's head. He is the one that convinced women that smoking was a torch of freedom, a symbol of independence for men. This technique, linking products to liberation and status, is still used today to influence women with messages of you don't need a man and hyper independence.
You also believe that the consent of the public is basic for corporate goals too?
Well, obviously, ideas were weapons and were even more effective than bullets.
So therefore, we have to have what Walter Lippmann, back in 1920 or so, called manufacture of consent. And we've got to keep the general population marginalized because they're always going to make mistakes.
Marginalizing meaning?
Reduce them to apathy and obedience. Allow them to participate in the political system, but as consumers, not as true participants.
We see it in these modern relationships that portray to be traditional, when really it's off the backs of shaming men. It didn't matter how much he supported her openness, emotionally intelligent, they all became a weaker version of themselves through being humiliated on public platforms. And the best example to use is Tia Mowry and Corey Hardick. Married for 15 years, in 2022 divorced. What men saw was the man who wasn't abusive, wasn't a cheater, no public leaks, had everything ripped from him. A man who stood by her side through thick and thin. In the end, it never mattered.
A lot of stillness, man. When you sit still a lot, you know, you can hear a lot of things. For me, a lot of isolation, solitude, and just knowing, you know, if I can just put one foot in front of the other, you know, and take it a day at a time, because I'm taking a day at a time.
On the other hand, women saw Tia finally choosing her own happiness, finally choosing herself, and choosing freedom no matter what.
Thanks to intuition and trust in self, I was able to move through that and feel, you know, a sense of freedom.
Tia Mowry, liberated and free, now she's in a relationship, possibly with her daughter's art teacher, engaging in hookup culture after decades of being married. It's not the concept of marriage men don't like, it's the type of woman that exists today men don't like. Meanwhile, men will always be told that they have to be a protector, have to be a provider. But what happens when that man is all of those things and it still isn't good enough? Because clearly she will always choose her happiness, and this is where men are taking a step back. Question now is, how far does that go? How much of modern mindset is spreading? When women are constantly now consuming from media outlets, any idea can be planted miles away, which it is rapidly, and affecting the diaspora for the worst. What used to be known to be traditional countries, traditional people stray further away than ever before. They're starting to choose modern mindset. We see it in South Africa. Marriage has dropped 50% with growing population. By 2023, they saw a huge drop in their marriage rates declining. Caribbeans are holding conference for low fertility, whilst half the nation aren't married. Producing families has also become estranged, falling since the 1960s, now creating demand for migrant labor.
My perspective on what a good wife is might not sound like the on-paper definition, because my perspective on what a good wife is a woman who centers herself. Have your own identity, don't be bound to that man. And I worry about the good wife complex is a never-ending spiral of women essentially still trying to uphold this patriarchal idea of what a good woman is, being obedient, docile, agreeable, patient, understanding.
Here,
all right.
simple as that.
Okay, cool.
You don't judge a woman by her appearance. You don't judge a woman by her past pains, her past shames, her past failures. That is absolutely 100% wrong. Every woman has a past. Every woman has failed somewhere.
Men back in the day used to wake up at 4 a.m. and go grind for their families, and you want me to pay the bill? Are you insane?
Be clear, why by 2030 over 40% of women are going to be single and childless? As a woman, as much as I love the concept of marriage, union, the covenant it holds, what does any of that mean when the female no longer values the core foundation of what marriage needs to succeed? This is where men and women will ultimately always be different, because a man's masculinity will never be dictated with finding a wife. A man's livelihood is dictated by his purpose, not sleeping around, spending money, wasting time with females who could care less about you before or after they met you. Purpose is what truly serves a man.